Woody versus Gorney back for another week of exciting picks action. Gorney, I'm starting to come back to earth here. My record on the season down to 71-61-1. Bleak after going 9-13 last week. You've opened up a lead 75-57-1. A 4-game lead for you. Feeling good, right?
Yeah, it's feeling good. I don't want a reversion to the mean here, so let's keep winning.
There were a couple half pointers last week that killed me. Memphis,
Yeah,
especially. Oh my lord! I was counting that as a win. I turned out they lost outright after
yeah.
being up by a few touchdowns. So we got a fun slate this week. Let's get right into it. Alabama and Tennessee. I had a Tennessee fan tell me, "Hey, I love that you keep leading with Tennessee every week. Keep it up." But let's get into the pick. What do you think, Gorney?
You know, there is so much talk about Tennessee now and how great they are, and they went to LSU and clobbered them. Literally from the opening kickoff when LSU couldn't literally field the opening kickoff, and then Tennessee scores and basically blows them out. 17% of the public is on Alabama right now. And so I'm taking the Crimson Tide. The masses are the asses. Everybody's talking about Tennessee. If Bryce comes back, then all bets are off here. I'm still going to take Alabama -7.5. I could see 42-31. I hate to break it to them, and I might regret this because Tennessee might be a really, really good football team. But I'm not betting against Nick Saban, who's literally never lost to Tennessee.
So we know that last week I told everyone, I shouted from the mountaintops, get on the Vols, everything Vols, take it. My buddy Phil and his bachelor party, they were sitting in like the 500 section. He sent me a
Yeah.
pic from the game. I could not. I thought he was watching from the Goodyear blimp. He was so far out there, but apparently there was free hot dogs was included as part of the ticket. But anyway, he could have bought sideline seats with how much money they won off of my Vols picks. Unfortunately, this week, sorry, Vols fans, when I see Paul Feinbaum, noted Tennessee alum, I believe, on First Take with Stephen A. Smith picking the Vols, there's no way.
Yeah.
It's looking like we're having a lot of buildup here. What I like about Alabama, Bryce Young or not, is their ability to run the ball. It's coming together. There were some concerns about their offensive line. Sure, last week was too close of a call. Some bad turnovers kept Texas A&M in the game. I'm taking Alabama here, and same thing as I said about Tennessee last week. I like it all. I like team total. I like first half. I like the line, and if Tennessee scores first, I like the live line on Alabama. So, yeah, give me the tide across the board. Next up, Penn State going to Michigan. Michigan, a 7-point favorite, a big number here in a top 10 matchup.
Yeah, it is a big number. The under in this game has been very popular, which means you lean toward the underdog. Has Michigan been really tested this year? Has Penn State really? So I'm going to take Penn State +7. I can see a 28-24 kind of game one way or another.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see what the total number there was. I think it's going to kind of be a slog, though. I like Penn State's ability to run the ball with their two young running backs, and I think Michigan. We saw a little bit of a bump in the road last week. I know some people were really unhappy with them dropping in the rankings after winning by 3 touchdowns or whatever. But to me, 7 points is too much. I still probably lean Michigan to win the game, but just a touchdown in a top 10 matchup at a game like this. Yeah, give me the Nittany Lions. USC going to Utah. This line really surprised me. Utah, 3.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, now this is one of those games that the public loves USC. They're warming up back to USC, and the money is coming in on Utah. Night game in Utah. Lincoln Riley's first experience there. It makes me kind of lean Utah here. I think USC's offense is very good, but I do come back to how poorly they played on the road at Oregon State on a Saturday night a few weeks ago. Utah's a different team at home. I don't really love this Utah team as much as I did. I thought UCLA really took it to them offensively. And if UCLA can, USC can as well. But at home on a Saturday night with the public on USC, I'm going to take the Utes.
Yeah, USC's been sleepwalking a little bit of classic California, front running behavior out of the Trojans. Uh, I had been doubting them earlier in the year. I was waiting to jump on Fresno State, and the line was so much smaller than I expected. I've laid off of them. I stayed away from them. Guess what? Because of what I just said about them being front runners, they're going to be locked in for this one.
Yeah.
Who cares about Oregon State, Arizona State, Washington State? Those are all snoozers. This one's in prime time. Gus Johnson screaming and yelling. I don't know if he's doing this game or if he's doing the Michigan game, but probably the Michigan one. Either way, whoever's announcing, Petros Papadakis or whoever, noted USC alum, give me the Trojans. Oklahoma State going to TCU. TCU at 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, this is another great game. Like it's actually a pretty great slate of games the whole way. I'm not going to bet against Oklahoma State here. I know TCU can really throw it around, and Texas Tech for about 3 quarters last week really took it to Oklahoma State. They basically went for it on every 4th down. I think they went 7 times on 4th down. TCU torched Oklahoma because Oklahoma's defense is a mess, and it doesn't look like Ted Roof knows what the hell he's doing. I don't feel the same way about Oklahoma State. I think this is a very good football team. I think they're going to try to grind it out and really frustrate TCU. I'm going to take Oklahoma State plus 3.5.
I've been waiting to have a chance to bet against Spencer Sanders, and this is the weekend. I was kind of doubting TCU. Guess what? Max Duggan looks great. He's healthy. What a killer last week. Texas, that was one of those half-pointers. It was a 3-point game. The game looked like it was over, and they give up a late touchdown. They don't cover the 9.5-point spread as they lose by 10. So guess what? I've learned my lesson with TCU. I'm going to take them. You got to be impressed. They lost talent. They lost some defections to the portal, guys like Zach Evans, and they haven't skipped a beat. So, yeah, I think consider yourself horned, as the signs say in Fort Worth. Give me the Horned Frogs. NC State at Syracuse, sneaky top 25 matchup. Syracuse at 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, this is one where Devin Leary probably doesn't play. If he plays, I'm taking NC State. If his arm is hanging on there by one thread, I'll take NC State because I think they're still a pretty decent football team. But if he doesn't play, I think their offense struggles in the dome, and the money is flying in on the orange. Not the orange men, just the orange here. I'm taking Syracuse to cover in what used to be Dino Babers was fighting for his life, and now it looks like they're going to be 6-0, I think.
Yeah, I had a joke. I can't make it, but I don't want to edit it out about Syracuse. So I'm taking Syracuse as well. Garrett Schrader, very fun to watch. The Syracuse's running back also very good, and I just don't think NC State can score. They were lucky to pull out that win over Florida State, especially with Leary down. So yeah, give me the Oranges. Next up, Mississippi State at Kentucky. Another dicey quarterback situation. Kentucky a home underdog.
Yeah, home underdog, and the line has been moving up. A lot of the public is on Mississippi State, but so is a decent amount of the money. If Levis comes back and looks, like he can play okay, but this Mississippi State offense is really good. Will Rogers has more passing yards than anybody in the country, and they're really moving it. I mean, they're a very good football team. Tough to defend in just 1 week preparation. The numbers look like you should take Kentucky here, but I'm going to take Mississippi State on the short number.
Yeah, so I actually wrote down Mississippi State, and then I said to myself, Mike Leach teams, no matter how good they are, they lose some game every year. But they shouldn't lose, where a good defense figures out the offense until he shuts it down. So I don't like what I've seen from Kentucky's offensive line. I thought when Rodriguez came back, it would be back to the good old days of piling up yards. Fortunately, it's kind of an unproven group. They're struggling a little bit, but I'm going with the Stoops factor, the defense. They got big bodies in there. So, give me Kentucky to cover, and maybe I sprinkle them to win outright at home because they need this one. Auburn at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, nearly 10-point home favorite.
What's weird here is that I think that the public loves Auburn in this game because of so many points. It's come down. The public loves Auburn here at 13.5, but it's moved up to 14.5, which is a pure sign. Ole Miss, this is the end. This is the end for Brian Harsin. I think Lane kind of wants to put it to him. I don't know how much this Auburn team is really going to be fighting. Unless Ole Miss comes into this game and has players suspended or some weird injuries that they haven't been talking about, I just don't see how Auburn can keep up with them. I'm going to take Ole Miss here. I might regret this pick, and it becomes very interesting about Harsin's job status if he can win at Ole Miss and then get fired after it.
Yeah, the line's moving all around because
Yeah.
it was 9.5 when I put these in here like not that long ago. It wasn't like I did this earlier in the week because I'm not exactly a great prepper. But if it's less than 2 touchdowns, probably if it's less than 17, I'm taking Ole Miss. Their ability to run the ball been tremendous. Two-headed running back, situation. This is a different Ole Miss team. The offenses that Kiffin was running at FAU, the time in Ole Miss. So, yeah, give me the Rebels to run the ball. Auburn, just a bad situation. They're not a horrible team, but this
No.
whole the whole situation with Harsin and the administration and the fired AD, it's just a disaster and kind of should be put to an end here so everyone can move on. Kansas going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost 3 in a row, and they're 9-point favorites over the number 19 team in the country.
90% of the bets are on Kansas right now, which is just insane to think. And yeah, I think there is a little bit of name recognition here, Oklahoma, but they have to get it figured out at some point. I think Dylan Gabriel comes back. I think this number is telling you that Dylan Gabriel comes back. And even if it's a shootout, I think Oklahoma has more guns here. Kansas finally lost. They did cover. Congratulations to them. Credit to them. I lost that one last week. I thought TCU was going to actually blow them out, but they didn't. I'm still going to take Oklahoma here. It could be 51-41, 41-31. Unless Kansas, I think they're very well coached. They have very talented players on that team. Unless they kind of go up and down the field like TCU did against Oklahoma, I just don't see how they keep up. I'm going to take Oklahoma -9, and this might be my biggest regret pick of the week.
That's too many points. I know that the one factor is, okay, what's Kansas's quarterback situation? But guess what? The backup came in last week
Might be
and
better, yeah.
right, and did great. So someone's going to be coveted in the portal out of those two. Might be going with the coach to Nebraska who solved the problem. But anyway, give me the Jayhawks. You don't disrespect the number 19 team in the country with the 9-point spread. Sorry. Yeah, give me the Jayhawks. Iowa State going to Texas. Texas a 16.5-point favorite.
Yeah, this is a game that the under is written all over. I think like 6 of the last 7 times they've played, the under is hit. Texas's offense is far better, but I think 16.5 is too much. Iowa State's going to grind it out. This is a flip game where the public is on Texas, but the money's on Iowa State. I can see 34-21. I could see 28-17. I think Texas wins the game, but I'm going to take the Cyclones to cover a big number here.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. Just too high for me. I don't trust Texas that much. Quinn Ewers back looked great. He looks like he is going to be a star like I never doubted that he would be. Some people were concerned about his arm strength and the wind and whatnot, but doesn't seem to be an issue based on what we've seen so far. But yeah, give me the Cyclones to cover, maybe even a backdoor. I mean, 16.5, just too many points for me. Minnesota going to Illinois, and Illinois almost a 7-point underdog at home.
Yeah, 7-point underdog at home, which is very interesting because they're the ranked team here. But Minnesota's pretty tough too. I think, they played poorly a few weeks, but I think that they're going to come back. This could be a 17-7 kind of game. I don't see really a shootout. I don't think either team is really capable of that. Chris Ottman-Bell from Minnesota might be out. And when the low scores like this are supposed to come in for the underdog, especially at home, but for some reason, I'm just going to take Minnesota here. This looks like a trap kind of line by Vegas. Oh, Illinois is the ranked team, the home team, and the underdog by just under a touchdown. I'm going to take Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take Illinois, and I have no idea why. I wrote it down. No, I actually think it's gonna be just one of these ugly Big Ten. These are the kind of games when I was a kid, and I remember I'd wake up and I was in Oregon. It'd be 9 a.m. Pacific, and I'd wake up and it'd be a Big Ten game on like this, and I'd come out and I'd turn on the TV and I'd lay down on the couch and I'd fall asleep and wake up at to the voice of Pam Ward midway through the third quarter on play-by-play. So, yeah, I just don't think it's going to be an exciting game. I think Illinois 6.5 at home. I mean, that's a big number, especially at this point in the season. So, yeah, give me the Illini. Vanderbilt going to Georgia. 38-point favorite for the Dogs, who kind of, they were impressive last week, but it's kind of been like they're sort of sleepwalking through a relatively easy schedule.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Georgia wins the game comfortably. 38 is too much. Vanderbilt gets to 10. Georgia probably gets to 45. It's one of those games where they're not going to really show too much. They get through this Vanderbilt game, get to the bye week, and then Florida's coming up. So they're not going to really do a whole lot. Now, it could be 52-10 on a late score, but they have a lot coming up here. They have Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Kentucky. Then they'll kill Georgia Tech before the SEC championship game if they get there. I think this Vanderbilt team can kind of move the ball a little bit. So whether that's taking time off the clock and then missing field goals or just getting in the end zone once or twice, I think 38 is too much. A comfortable Georgia win, but the Commodores to cover.
Yeah, how about my guy AJ Swan? I mean, from the Wommack quarterback tree. Definitely has looked good. He was supposed to be the backer. He's a true freshman. He's going to be a freshman All-American. I don't think he's going to give that job away, taking it away from Mike Wright, another Womack quarterback tree prospect. Boy, tough when you got to choose between your own nephews. But yeah, I like the way they look, but I'm taking the Dogs. I think we saw Vanderbilt last week. Okay, they hung around with Ole Miss and they end up losing by like 30. So
yeah.
I just think I liked what I saw from Georgia's deep team. We got Branson Robinson out there running around, running over people. So I don't think Georgia's going to take their foot off the pedal. And I think, they kind of run away late. Clemson going to Florida State. Clemson only a 3.5-point favorite at the Knolls.
Yeah, which is interesting because your heart just says take Clemson here. Florida State is getting better, but are they there yet? I don't know. This is one where the public absolutely loves Clemson. Just they're all over them, but the money's about split. So, man, I really want to just take Clemson here and have them prove me wrong. But also, the number started at 7.5. It's coming down to 3.5. Even though everybody's on Clemson, Florida State. I'm taking the Noles. This could be the weekend game where if Penn State doesn't win up at Michigan, Clemson could go down and kind of eliminate themselves from the playoff talk.
Yeah, so this was interesting to me because I know the Knolls should have won that game last week. They kind of, even if they kick a field goal at the end. I think this is the year, and I was telling our friend Pete Schoenfeld, NIL Pete, that I think the Knolls, he's a big Florida State fan. I told him they're turning it around, but this is the year before the year. This is the year of close losses, and you go maybe 8-4. I just don't think 3.5 is not enough for me. I think Clemson, I could see it being close in the first half. I think DJ's got his confidence back. Going to be fun to watch the stadium there in Florida State. I can't remember any stadium names. Doak Campbell, right?
Doak Campbell, yeah.
That's going to be rocking. That's going to be fun to watch. People not sitting in the stands reading books and stuff like we've seen over the past few years. I think it's rocking. That'll be fun to watch. But give me the Tigers.
That's also Clemson minus 3.5. They're not Florida State.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to say plus 3.5.
Okay, there you go.
You listen, we're making it. The fact that there's a show this week is
amazing. Yeah,
minor miracle. Last game, James Madison at Georgia Southern. Boy, James Madison's ranked. They weren't even in the FBS last year. This is why coaches get fired, because James Madison can move up from the FCS and be in the top 25 4 weeks later.
Yeah. You don't walk into, what's the town's name? Statesboro. You don't walk into Statesboro and get a win again. Clay Helton is a seasoned Pac-12 coach. I don't know. I literally just looked at the ATS on both teams, and they're both good. So, man, Georgia Southern went to Nebraska and got their win for the year. I'm taking James Madison. I'm going with the president here.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think. Sorry, James. I'm going to take Georgia Southern. Like I said, you don't just come down here. I don't even know where they fly in. I guess to Savannah. I mean, it's a long trip. Georgia Southern, of course, had the rivalry game last week. Sneaky rivalry, Georgia State and Georgia Southern. Did you know that's a rivalry down here?
I didn't. I don't really care.
They have this whole thing where they say, "Oh, Southern, not State, State, not Southern." Like it's a whole weird that you don't even realize till you live in Georgia like I do. So, give me Clay Helton, give me Georgia Southern, 11.5 points. James Madison's can score, man. I mean, they could blow this one wide open. So
Yeah.
anyway, that wraps it up for this week's picks. We will hopefully be back next week for week 8. If not, I might not be back. I may have to dial in my picks, but we'll keep you posted. Be sure to share the show with your friends, subscribe on YouTube or on the Commitment Issues podcast feed. Thanks, Gorney.